Have you ever experienced that moment when your heart starts beating differently again after everything? After the pain, the longing, a silence that seemed endless? Maybe it happened suddenly. Maybe it was a slow, almost imperceptible process. But one day, you looked at someone, or it was just a conversation, a smile, a simple gesture, and something there rekindled a spark, a hope, a new affection wanting to grow. But along with this good news came the sidelong glances, the whispered comments, the uncomfortable conversations within the family. Because new love doesn't always arrive alone. Sometimes it brings resistance from children, distrust from grandchildren, the opinions of siblings, neighbors, and longtime friends. And then, instead of being just a lightness, this beautiful feeling also becomes a burden, a conflict, a question. Am I wrong to want to be happy again? Look, if you've ever been through this or are going through it now, I want to tell you something very clear. You're not alone. This is a more common feeling than it seems, especially after 60. Life changes a lot at this stage. The children grow up, the house empties, the silences grow longer. And longing. Longing comes in 1,000 forms. For a partner who left, for a story that ended, for a time gone by. But the heart, that darn thing, still lives. And sometimes it wants to love again. But why does this bother some people so much? Why does the family, which has been supportive and caring in so many moments, now seem to not understand this new chapter in their lives? Perhaps because, for many people, the love of older people is still viewed with a certain prejudice. There's an idea, completely wrong by the way, that after a certain age we should just settle, living on memories, accepting loneliness as part of the package, almost as if the search for affection and companionship were a kind of betrayal of the memory of the past. But the truth is, no one replaces anyone. Loving again doesn't erase what you've experienced. It doesn't erase a decades-long marriage, the good times, the children raised together, the pain faced side by side. The new doesn't erase the old. It just shows that life goes on, that you still have time, sensitivity, desire. And that, my friend, is something to celebrate, not hide. I remember a woman who told me between laughter and tears that she started dating an old childhood friend. She had lost her husband 5 years ago, and he was also a widower. They drank coffee together in the square, talked about old music, exchanged photos of their grandchildren, and one day he took her hand. She said that in that moment, she felt enormous guilt, as if she were doing something wrong. But at the same time, she also felt such great peace, such simple tenderness, that she couldn't pull her hand away. This guilt, unfortunately, is like a ghost that haunts many people trying to start over. And when it comes with family judgment, it becomes even more difficult to deal with. Sometimes the children say it's too soon. Other times they complain that the new partner just wants their money, or that the grandchildren are confused. There are those who say nothing but simply distance themselves. They create an icy silence where there once was warmth. And you find yourself trying to justify your feelings, trying to balance your heart's desires with the demands of those you love. And therein lies the greatest challenge: how to move on without breaking up with the person that has always been by your side. The answer isn't simple, but it starts with a fundamental point: recognizing that your happiness is legitimate, that your feelings are valid, and that you have the right, yes, the right, to seek joy, partnership, and companionship. It's not selfishness, it's not weakness, it's pure humanity. Often family resistance stems from fear. Fear of losing you, of seeing the dynamic change, of facing the fact that you too are a person with desires, with a life of your own. And this fear, disguised as concern, can turn into control. But that's precisely where the dialogue becomes more necessary than ever. Talking calmly, explaining your feelings, and listening to their anxieties, it may not solve everything immediately, but it opens the door to understanding. Sometimes all it takes is time to adjust. Sometimes you need time for others to see what you're already feeling, that this new love hasn't come to steal any space, just to occupy a new space that's opened up in your heart. And even with all the love and care, understanding still doesn't come, then it's time to think more deeply. To what extent should you postpone your own happiness in the name of other people's approval? It's hard to say, I know, but the truth is, after a certain age, we learn that life is too short to live with guilt, and too long to live without love. Looking forward isn't disrespecting the past.
It's honoring it, showing that it taught you the value of companionship, tenderness, and care. And if you now find this in a different perspective, in a different story, why not live? Those who truly love you will understand eventually. Sometimes reluctantly, sometimes stubbornly, but they understand. Because no one wants to see the person they love living half-heartedly. And if that's not the case, if love is being demanded with conditions that are too harsh, then maybe it's time to rethink your roles. You've spent your life caring for so many people, so many things. Now, maybe it's time to take care of yourself. You know that saying that no one is too old to start over? It's true, because the heart doesn't understand calendars. It only understands presence, gesture, and connection. So if you're in this phase, with your heart torn between what you feel and what others think, take a deep breath. Look within. What makes your eyes shine? What makes you truly smile, even on gray days? We'll continue this conversation, because there's more to say. But for now, I just want you to let this idea grow within you. Love after loss isn't a betrayal. It's a continuation, and perhaps one of the most beautiful. You know, sometimes I wonder, why is it so hard to accept that someone's happiness can change form? As if there were only one valid type of love, a single story worthy of respect. But life, over time, teaches us that this isn't quite the case. Love can come in so many forms. It can be a reunion, a friendship that blossomed, an affection that turned into a partnership. And deep down, our hearts never forget what good is. When something or someone truly does us good, even if reason tries to sabotage it, the soul recognizes it. That hug that arrives unhurriedly, the good morning with the scent of freshly brewed coffee, the comfortable silence beside someone, all of this quietly tells us, you're alive. You can still feel. But then comes that suspicious look from the grandson, the silence at the Sunday lunch table, the daughter who cancels the visit. And all of this weighs heavily. It hurts. It seems like we have to choose between following our feelings or maintaining family harmony. But you see, a child's love is different from a couple's love. They are distinct feelings, equally profound, but not competing. One doesn't cancel out the other. Having a new partner doesn't mean you love your children or grandchildren any less. It just means you recognize your right to be happy again in your own way. I know. There are days when you feel like giving up. You think it's better to be alone, to avoid trouble. But is that really what you want? Or is it just fear getting the better of you? Fear of being judged, of appearing selfish, of losing connections. But the truth is, when we give up our own joy to please others, what's left is a smaller version of ourselves. And you don't deserve to live shrunken, not after everything you've been through. A woman once told me that after turning 70, she learned to stop asking permission to be who she is. She said she spent her whole life being the mother of, the wife of, the aunt who helps everyone. And when she found herself alone, she asked herself, what about me? Who am I beyond all this? And it was in that silence that she found herself and fell in love. for the first time in her life, lightly, serenely, unhurriedly. But not everyone understood. Her sisters thought it was strange. Her daughter was hurt. Her friends were suspicious. And she suffered. She cried. She considered giving up. But what kept her going was a simple question that resonated deeply with me. If not now, when? This question applies to me, to you, to all of us. If not now, when will we truly live? When will we stop postponing our desires, our joys, for fear of others' reactions? Of course, no one wants to fight with their family. We want peace. We want to share. We want to continue being a safe haven for those we love. But that doesn't mean living in silence. It doesn't mean hiding who you are, what you feel, what you desire. Because the worst loneliness is the one we feel even when surrounded by people. And there's something that really helps this process. Honest dialogue. No pressure, no drama. Speak from the heart. Explain that it's not about replacing anyone or erasing memories. That what you experienced with your previous partner is too precious to forget. But time has passed, and now you feel something new emerging. And that this doesn't diminish anything. It only enhances it. It's like having a new room in your house. It doesn't destroy what was already there. It just offers more space, more comfort, more possibilities. And look, this new love may also be full of insecurities, because the other person also comes from a history. They also bring their own pain, fears, and doubts.
And the two of you together will need to build something that respects all of this. No rush, no pressure. The most beautiful thing about all this is realizing that love after loss is often more mature, less impulsive, more generous. It doesn't demand perfection. It accepts wrinkles, accepts quirks, accepts the past. What matters now is presence, listening, and affection. And there's something no one can take away from us. The right to start over. The right to feel alive. To make plans. To smile at silly messages on our phones. To eagerly await the end of the afternoon so we can walk hand in hand in the square. To share hot soup, a soap opera, or old pajamas. It may seem like little to someone looking from the outside, but to someone who feels it inside, it's everything. And if your family still doesn't understand, perhaps it's time for you to show, with gestures and patience, that this new love is good for you. Sometimes, it's the sparkle in your eyes that convinces more than 1,000 explanations. Sometimes, it's your light-hearted way of living that soothes the hearts of those around you. There are no guarantees, I know. Some people will continue to resist. But then it's time to remember that you have limits too. That you don't need to sacrifice yourself to keep someone close. That life is made of choices, and choosing yourself isn't selfish. It's courageous. And when loneliness strikes, because it still can, even with someone by your side, remember, you're not alone on this journey. Many indeed are living similar stories, and they are, like you, learning to allow themselves to be again. Because at the end of the day, what everyone wants is to love and be loved, with respect, with truth, with lightness. And if this has appeared in your life, don't close the door for fear of the noise outside. Let love in, slowly, if necessary, cautiously, of course, but with your heart open to the life that still beats within you. It's funny how, after 60, we begin to understand that life is no longer measured in years alone, but in moments, in exchanged glances, in holding hands, in coffees that last longer because the conversation is good. The rush disappears, and in its place comes the urgency to live meaningfully, to not waste the minutes,
to not settle for less than what is good for us. And when love arrives after loss, it comes differently. It no longer has the euphoria of your 20s, nor the frenetic buildup of your 30s and 40s. It arrives quietly. It sits beside you. It listens. It looks at you as if to say, I know what you've been through, and yet, or perhaps because of that, I choose to stay. This kind of love is like a warm blanket on a cold night. It doesn't need to prove anything to anyone. It just needs to be there, present, available, truly. But sometimes the world outside keeps rushing by, full of demands, opinions, and standards. And you feel like you're caught between two forces, what you want and what others expect of you. And in the middle, there's your heart, trying to be heard. I know it can hurt. It can be scary. It can seem easier to retreat to your comfort zone, close the doors, and go it alone. But I also know there's a courage inside you that you might not even know you have. The courage to move forward. To say, I choose to live. And not live half-heartedly. To live fully, with all that that brings. The new smiles, the discoveries, the late-night conversations, the sound of 2 toothbrushes in the same cup. You don't owe anyone anything when it comes to how you feel. Your story is yours. Your pain, your losses, your rebuilding. And if there's someone who makes you feel light, loved, respected, why hide it? Why deny yourself this gift? If others still don't understand, be patient, but don't belittle yourself. Don't diminish yourself to fit what's expected of you. Life is already too short to live with your heart turned down. You know, perhaps the best way to show your family that this new love is good is by being happy. It's that simple. A sincere smile, a loose laugh, a lighter step. That speaks louder than any speech, because joy is contagious. And over time, even the most stubborn realize those who love want to see the other person well. And even if it takes time, even if full acceptance never arrives, you can still choose what to do with your joy. Will you keep it in your pocket, afraid? Or will you let it blossom, even in difficult terrain? I hope you choose to bloom. Because loving after loss is also an act of resistance. It's saying to time, I'm still here. It's saying to the world, I still have love to give. It's saying to yourself, my story isn't over. And if you're going through this phase, with doubts, with conflicts, with a lump in your throat sometimes, know that this is part of it, that it's normal, that there is no set script, no magic formula. But there's you, with your wisdom, your story, your sensitivity, and that's more than enough.
I want to ask you something now. If this conversation touched you in any way, if it helped you see this moment in your life with more affection, if it made you feel a little more understood, more welcomed, then share this video with someone special, someone who might be going through something similar, a friend, a family member who needs to hear these words too. And please leave your comment below. Tell us how you've been experiencing this phase. Have you ever fallen in love again? Have you ever felt judgment from your family? Have you ever considered giving up and then changed your mind? Your story may inspire others who are going through exactly the same thing. And of course, subscribe to the channel. We'll have many more conversations like this, because life after 60 is far from over. In fact, it can be a new beginning, freer, lighter, more authentic, and you deserve to be fully involved. Like this video because it helps this content reach more people who need it. There are so many people out there feeling alone, afraid, silent, and sometimes a video like this can be that little push they need to see their own strength. And if you've made it this far, I want to tell you one last thing. You matter. You have value. Your story deserves respect, and your heart deserves to be cared for with love. It doesn't matter if you're 60, 70, 80, or older. Love, when it's true, has no age. It only wants to exist. So keep choosing yourself. Keep opening yourself up to what feels good. Keep believing that happiness can knock on your door more than once. And when she knocks, open it with affection, with courage, with joy. See you in the next video.